Samurai sword on my back. You don't know how to act. Maybe you should relax.
All jokes aside, it would be a great idea to go to an Asian market and pick up some dumpling wrappers. Pick up a bunch of different kinds of styles, and some obviously have egg in them if it's a yellow color. These Shanghai style ones are thinner. The northern style ones are thicker. Those are better, I think, for soup. These are better maybe if you like a steam and not so much dough. While you're there, get whatever you need to get. Get some noodles, get some peanut oil, and all your other ingredients, because that Asian market honestly has tremendous produce. But for these, you are going to start with some cabbage, about 4 leaves of cabbage, and you're going to cut it up into really fine pieces. And essentially just would chiffon it first, like you would chiffon some herbs or basil leaves, and then just hack it up. I've seen some recipes which call for kind of the extraction of the liquid in the cabbage, but I don't see that as necessary. It does get a little bit wet if it's sitting out or it's combined with salt. I guess that's how sauerkraut kind of establishes all of its liquid. But if you just put it straight into the pork, the ground pork, which we have in the side here, you're good to go. I mean, this is a really quick recipe. Ginger, microplane it, and preferably have your ginger frozen. It's much easier to grate that way, and you don't wind up with a moldy piece of ginger once and so often. Garlic can just be either grated on the same microplaner, or it can be pressed. I'm not a huge garlic presser, but I will do it from time to time, especially if it's this type of recipe. I would not press garlic into marinara sauce because of its tendency to burn when you're cooking the oil. But for something like this, it will be fine. Soy sauce, sake if you have it, and you could also they use like a Chinese cooking wine or something like that if you can't get sake at the market by you. Salt and pepper, and then of course I think for dumplings you have to have a little bit of green in there, the brighter green, obviously, in the cabbage in the form of scallions. And that's it. I mean, that is very simple. And now, very reminiscent of how you would beat the meat for sausage. You are going to do the same kind of thing here where you're mixing it and pushing it through your hands and pincering it. And you would call it in bread making, you would call it like a pincering method. And just get it really mixed up super well, where the point where the fat is kind of melting and it is super, super tacky. So this little tiny cookie scoop works great for me. It's probably about a heaping tablespoon that I put in each one. And of course, that little thing on the back of the scooper makes it super easy for the pork mixture to come out. I usually do 10 dumplings at a time, so that the dough doesn't risk getting dried out while sitting and waiting to be filled. But go at your own pace. If you want to do them all at the same time, go for it. And just begin by scooping, like I said, heaping kind of tablespoons of this cookie scooper into the center of the discs. Work quickly. You don't really have to work that quickly. These things are super cornstarched and covered in flour, so you're good. They're probably not going to risk getting ruined. But 10 is a good number to start with. All right, here we go. We are going to wrap it now. You're going to hold it in the palm of your hand, your non-dominant hand. Rim the side of the dumpling wrapper with water. And then you are just going to bring the two sides together. Pinch them in the center, just like that. Very easy. And then pretty firmly begin squeezing the rim around where the meat is filled into the wonton and kind of spread it out. So we got basically what looks like a pierogi at this point, right? But then we're just going to put our finger in the center of that dumpling, depress it, and then curl around the wings, the wingtips, and make a little tiny, what I would refer to as kind of a pork bell style dumpling. There are tons of ways to do this, but I think that this is the simplest and best looking for the kind of the trade-off of time versus effort and all that. But I will show you how to do the gyoza dumplings as well, which is you do not fold the center. You still wet the sides and you bring them up, but you don't wet the centerpiece. You just move all the way over to the left and then begin folding the dough over to your non-dominant hand. And that's what it took for me to figure this out, is I had to switch which hand. I was doing it in the right hand. No, that's not what I want to do. So you have your left hand here, and then you pinch the pleat. And fold it down and crimp it. And then again, and I would say probably like 6 folds, maybe 7 folds max for a dumpling that is at least folded like a gyoza would appear. So yeah, dude, either way, I mean, this way you get both sides. You can kind of flatten down on the pan and get both sides crispy, but you can kind of do that with the bell-shaped ones anyway. I just think that this ruffle looks a little bit, I mean, obviously it looks a little bit sharper and more involved, so give it a try. But yeah, once you're done, just either put them in the freezer or start cooking them immediately. What I did was 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil in a pan over medium-high heat, and once it's at medium-high heat and you're able to put down the dumplings with them kind of immediately starting to fry, you don't want to, I mean, you could put them in when it's a little bit colder of oil. I wonder sometimes how much it matters, but you get mixed results. But I'd wait, get a nice sear on the bottom, and then flip them over to that top as well. If you were doing a gyoza, you get a flatter sear on both sides. But for these, we're just going straight from the mixing process and the folding process to the pan. And you are going to steam them here, but I'm talking about fully steam them from frozen. Here, just fry 4 minutes, steam for about 6 or 7 minutes or until 165. And that's it. There you have it. You have some beautiful steamed, not steamed, you have some beautiful fried pot stickers. Of course, in a sense, there was some steaming involved. And to plate them, you have to order a $8 mini toilet on Amazon to put your pot sticker in. You do a little, at this point, dated, I would say, spoon push. I don't know if does a spoon push ever get old? And that's it. Fill your Johnny up, put your dumplings on, plate them up really nice on top of the chili oil. Look, you can actually see the, sweating. The meat is sweating through the fucking wrapper. I mean, that's is weirdly unappealing, right? I'm sure a vegan is just puking in their mouth right now. So thank you guys for joining me on the pot sticker episode, one I was looking forward to a significant amount. And yeah, please try them. I mean, you will eat this probably 3 or 4 times a week if you could. It's crazy. They're incredible. Thank you guys. Love you. Bye-bye.